Insane level in a ROM hack. I've been hooked on finding the hardest Mario levels in ROM hacks. This one seems fascinating. It'll help the ADHD chatters because it's commentated gooning.
Hey everybody, my name's Pluto.
Oh, it's
Today
only
we're
31
doing
minutes.
A commentated video. Today we're doing the biggest of lads. We are doing Divine Sentence red coins from Seznated Reminiscence, the hardest star in the entire hack. And I can say that with 100% confidence because at the time of recording this, I've actually beaten this hack. Yes, I've beaten it 100%, including C12-100s, which will be the next video uploaded on this channel. I don't know when, but hopefully soon. This is, I guess, like the first part of this two-part finale of beating the hack. Divine Sentence Reds is the hardest star in the game, in my opinion harder than Ramby's Reverie Reds from Treasurable Dream Edition, which if you don't know is very, very hard. It just kind of is this massive undertaking which surprisingly did not take very long at all, but I feel like just talking about the star
dude.
is wasting a bit of time that could be spent talking about the jumps. So let's talk about the jumps of the star. So this star is pretty linear. It's divided into 6 different star paths, although it's really only 5 different star paths because the way it is. At the beginning level, we're forced to go down this star path, which is the star 2 path. It's actually kind of nice of me to do it at the beginning because it has some pretty inconsistent jumps, such as these arches where you need to watch out for the corner physics that can happen. If you don't know, corner physics is when you rub in the corner and are unable to wall kick. It's pretty common, and you might hate them without knowing what they are, so there you go. Jump on these slopes. These slopes are so close to this wall that you actually have less room than it looks because they're very steep and they're like right up against the wall, so you only really have this bottom half to work with. Thankfully, that's enough to easily get a jump because these slopes are not slippery.
Easily.
There's a couple different
Bro,
textures
this
in
looks
level.
so fucked.
Some of them are slippery, some of them aren't. There's a lot of slope jumps.
This level, this should be a punishment someday, like if me and Liam do a stream or something, or like me and Cheese do like some kind of challenge thing, like the loser has to do this level.
These levels are a bit swift. While it is very difficult, it's a bit faster paced than a level like Ramby's Reverie, for example. When I did Star 2, I did a QSOG cheese for this section, but I opt to do intended, which is wall kicks, because I found it to be more consistent, as the QSOG to skip this section is very precise.
I'm actually kind of fucking with
This red
this.
coin's a bit precise to grab, but thankfully, if you just pause and double jump on the same frame, it actually lines you up perfectly to just get the red coin, so you can get that triple jump very easily. And we're actually already leaving the Star 2 section. One nice thing about reds here is that there's actually no reds at the very end of Star Paths, which means that we can skip some of the more inconsistent jumps that are placed at the end of the stars. For example, most notably, we don't have to do the final jump of Star 6. We don't have to do the kind of weird jumps at the end of Star 4. And we don't have to do the mandatory firsty shit at the end of Star 2. The only real exception to this is Star 3, which we kind of almost need to do in full, but you'll see why that's a bit weird in a second. And by in a second, I mean in quite a while, because now, leaving the Star 2 area, these slopes nicely transition us directly into the main path. You might be familiar with this, because if you're not doing Star 2, you do this path for every other star. Unfortunately, it's not the direct spawn anymore, it's a little bit after spawn, which means you actually need to develop some real consistency at these jumps.
Dude, is that quicksand?
These aren't the hardest jumps in the world. They can be done pretty consistently. The main trick to these is what some deviants, some degenerates have nicknamed the Amogus jump, because it kind of looks like an Among Us crewmate, just one that's very tall. You can see it from the distance, it kind of looks like the letter A. This is a double arch. A double arch is just an arch into another arch. This one is particularly tight. Because you need to transition to this arch.
Oh, that arch is bad with it.
I say elaborate, but it's actually quite simple.
Bro, this is so fucked.
We do need to make this pit stop for this red coin. Normally you would just hit the front of the first pillar there and just go into this wall, but there you need to do a little bit of a dance to get that red coin. Not a big deal, doesn't take
He's doing this on a pro controller. No notches.
You can actually see these pillars are marked where you're supposed to wall kick, which is pretty nice. Makes it a bit easier to tell what to do. And we get transitioned right over here, where there's a scuttlebug, which can kill you if you're really unlucky.
This is more diabolical than your Mario Builder level? So dude, my Mario Builder level is like a 1 out of 10 on difficulty. If this is a 10 out of 10,
for this red coin, I opt to do
a Goomba is like
a
3 out of 10, maybe a 2 or a 1.
Sequence and doing a couple wall kicks, but you'll see players like Remu, and I think Focus's Theory Test as well, will opt to just simply grab it for a backflip wall kick. It was slightly buffed in this version of the game, because in older versions there's no quicksand slope there, so you can just be directly attached to it, but it is still possible to grab it with a precise 44.9. So that is an alternative strategy if you do not like the one that we do here. And then we have this section. Here we have these wall kicks off these walls. It's worth noting that the blue patches are lava, which is dangerous because if you touch it, you will be burned and you won't be able to walk anymore. So it's important that you avoid that. Thankfully, it's not too difficult to avoid. You just have to be a little careful. Generally, holding up there allows you to get that arch every time, but it's good to pause buffer it and do it in such a way that if you do hit the ceiling, then you won't be immediately dead. Here we have a strategy that I showcased on my second channel. Normally you have to do this precise jump through this death plane, but we can actually avoid that by ledge grabbing here, and then we need to get a certain angle. I line up with this pillar, but there's other visual cues you can use. Then we can just simply do a chain long jump, and this will initiate this wall kick sequence. While this wall kick sequence may seem a little daunting, it's actually perfectly loopable. You start by doing 8 wall kicks here, and then you can enter this perfect loop of doing 5 wall kicks between these pillars, and then 7 wall kicks between these pillars. And this will actually allow you to climb up this thing as much as you like.
Okay. Well, that doesn't seem too bad.
We simply need to climb up this thing until we can land on top of these slopes, and this skips a couple jumps in the stage. That's pretty nice. It's worth noting that if you're familiar with the stage, you might know that there's the Star 3 path, and you might be wondering why we're not going on that. There's a reason why we're not going on the Star 3 path, and it'll be apparent once we've done the Star 4 path, and if you are aware of my second channel, you might be familiar with what we're going to do, but I'll keep it as a surprise for now.
Okay.
Go right here, land on the switch. So this blue switch is going to spawn a blue block. It's going to be a slope blue block, which allows us to complete a jump back on the mainland. First we need to detour for this red coin. This red coin's pretty easy to grab.
Yeah, that doesn't look too bad.
Potential difficulty is that jump dive right there, but it's actually very lenient.
Yeah. This all looks not...
Now we need to do these pseudo Sombra slopes. We're not going to do them like actual Sombra slopes. Instead, we're just going to ride along them naturally. If you don't know, a Sombra slope is when you ground pound on the slope perpendicularly and just slide down it perpendicularly. I believe that's what's intended there, but it's not necessary, so we don't need to do it.
How is he going to do this? Oh my god, that's tight.
Tricky. Those purple slopes were seen at the beginning of the Star 2 section, but they're actually slippery slopes. These purple ones aren't quite slippery, but they are pretty hard to maneuver on, especially on these cube things, because it's pretty awkward. The main thing you need to avoid is backwards jumps. Backwards jumps just happen when you have too much backwards momentum on the slope and Mario jumps backwards. Those can be pretty dangerous if you don't know they're coming. This section is very reminiscent of Treasure World C2 with this little pillar, with this like little pillar here in this tower. There's a red coin right there, which I get with a triple jump wall kick here. It's just my favorite way to get there, because the collision on the border between these two triangles is a little janky. You can clip through it, which usually will make you live, but it's just not something I want to mess with. And thankfully, we can skip a small QSOD section with that slow
That's
jump.
quicksand!
It's a little risky, but the QSODs themselves are a little tricky, so I feel like it's worth it just to be a little faster and make the completion a little cleaner.
Yeah, if you do a slow get up on quicksand, it gives you like a few frames to jump before you get sucked.
A lot, but
which was something I incorporated in a Goomba a little bit, but you know, I didn't want it to be a requirement for the level, because it's not a technique a lot of people know about, but you can do it, for sure.
So, climb up at these slopes again. I guess while we're doing some pretty mundane jumps, I can talk more about the stage. Worth noting that this is, as I think, a reference to Dream Edition Bowser 2, but this stage, I actually really enjoyed the stage. It honestly surprised me how much I enjoyed the stage, because when I first saw it, I thought, oh, this is going to be kind of dumb, it's going to feel like a T-Don, but it actually didn't feel that way at all. While there were some inconsistencies...
Is this what this guy does? Is he still doing these?
Every jump in the stage, for the most part, was pretty consistent. Star 2 had
1 year ago was the last post.
There's some jank stuff in the Star 4 path as well, but overall, the stage was very, very consistent.
So he's just done a bunch of these hard levels.
I was worried that it would be one of those stages that was just super grindy, but thankfully,
he'll be back.
I got good at pretty much every jump here, and was confident in most of them. The main ones I weren't confident in were the Star 5 path, mostly because those jumps are very awkward, but they're still very doable. It's more so a stage that preferences being kind of complex and a little awkward over just raw precision, compared to something like, I don't know, like C15 in this game, because C15 has a lot more, has a lot less like interesting jumps in my opinion. It has some cool things, but it's mostly just a stage that just has a lot of precise things, or just things that are just tight. But this stage has like things that are like actually, you know, a challenge beyond just like being precise. It's just like there's a level of precision. Obviously, you saw the precise wall case at the beginning, but you know, there's more to it than that.
Oh my god!
As you can see, barely making that jump. The jump's actually pretty difficult because it's a momentum jump, and depending on your position, depends on whether or not you'll make it.
Okay, this looks nice.
So now we're at where red spawns, which is actually where star 4 and star 5 branch out, but we actually need to jump off here real quick because there's this red coin.
So he has to get 16 red coins? Bro, we're not even halfway through!
For a little, not the hardest thing in the world, but they are pretty tricky. This first jump is actually pretty hard because there's a higher floor on this one. So you have to make sure that it's not too complex. I will be doing a cheese where I do a firsty dive at the end of this, that way I can do QSLGs to skip the harder hole section because this red coin, grabbing this red coin is actually easier than going further in the star path because the holes get further apart. And I didn't want to risk dying, so I opted to do the QSLG strat, which requires, I think, a firsty dive. At least I think it requires a firsty dive. I never went for it without a firsty because I figured that if it was a real attempt, I'd be going for the firsty because it would be safer.
So you have to do those all again?
So, really fun. It unfortunately didn't took less for a start.
Dude, holy!
Which makes me wonder if the star is easier than I think, but when I think about all the hard jumps and the hard jumps and other stars have done, this star really sticks out as something that is just like truly difficult. And I remember when this game first came out and we were all looking at this level like, yeah, this level's ridiculous, and I didn't think that it would happen so soon, or the fact that multiple people would already have it. When I got this, I was, I believe, the first. I believe, because I don't know if Remu got it and just didn't upload, but I believe I was the first when I got this. But by the time I'm commenting,
you have to do this all the way across.
It's worth noting that Remu has also collected the star. So yeah, 2 people already have such an insanely hard star, and we've also both beaten the entire hack. So I just think that's awesome. I think it's awesome that this hack got the attention it deserved, like I said, and I'm really happy.
That's just a cheese.
A nice.
No, you can't walk on it, brother.
Hello.
Bro, get a life. What are you doing, man? What are you doing? God damn it. What is wrong with people?
Jump from here, right?
Yeah. No, I'm not talking about the video. I was talking about the chatter. All right. Well, that was pretty cool.